Hi guys, so welcome back to the channel, and today I just want us to literally put this topic to rest. Okay, let's talk about centering in CSS. How are we going to center a block element? How do we center a flux container? How do we center a grid container? How do we center an image? Okay, because I don't know why it's such a big topic, but let's just talk about it and let's see how we can implement this thing. Okay, how we can solve it. So as you can see, I already have my HTML and I linked the CSS right here. Okay, so now what we have to do is let me just take you through the HTML, because we will not be focusing a lot on the HTML, rather we'll be focusing a lot on the CSS. But okay, so I have the H1, okay, which is this part right here. Okay, CSS centering cheat sheet. So it's the H1, and then we have sections. So this section, okay, focuses a lot on the text alignment. And then this section is focused a lot on the block element. And then this section, this will be the one where we focus on the Flexbox container. And then this section will be the one where we focus a lot on the absolute and the transform, okay, properties. And then this section will be focusing on the grid centering, and then lastly the image. So this one here will be focused on how to center a image, right? So let's just get straight into it and do the CSS right away. So let's first set up our body, and then we'll just take the font family. I'll just use the Arial, and then let's take the margin and reset the margin and the padding, or we can just use 2 REMs. Okay, and let's set the background to F4. Okay, so as you can see, we've reset the padding and the margin here, as you can see. So now let's just get to it. So the first one is the H1, right? So it's the heading. Let's center the heading. Okay, so it's simple to center a heading. You target the element and you just use text align, because an H1 is a text, and you just center that. Okay, so automatically, as you can see, this has been centered. What did that thing go to? Okay, it's down here. Okay, so this is centered, okay, automatically. So text align to center a text. Okay, great, perfect. So far, so good. Now let's focus on the sections. Okay, I want the sections to be the same. I want them to be a sort of like box or card. Okay, so let's target the entire section. So this will target the whole section individually, okay, but they will have the same styling properties. So this is the parent of our elements. Okay, so let's target the sections, and what we can do is we can add a border. Let's add a border, so we can see. Let's make the border to be dashed, and let's change the color to be CCC. Okay, automatically, as you can see here, we have a border in each and every element. Okay, so it's dashed. Okay, that's perfect. And we can also add a margin of 2 rems and 0. Okay, and what else we can add? We can add a padding of 1,5 rems. Okay, so this is spacing one another from being combined. So this is perfect. What else can we add? Well, we can add a background. Let's change the color a bit to be FFF. Yeah, okay, not the background color, but just the background. Yes. And I think, yeah, I think that's it. That's good for the sections. So now what we can focus on is we can focus on, let's see what's next. Let's focus on this one. Okay, this is the first section right here. So which is the text align. Okay, let's focus on that one. So it's center text. So our div is center text, right? Our div is this one right here. Center text. Okay. Let's just make sure. Right, so let's focus on that one. So we'll just take the width and set it to 200 pixels. And we'll take the margin. Okay, so we are centering the text. Okay, we'll set this to 0 and 02. Okay, as you can see, automatically we have some centering happening. Okay, and what else we can do? We can take the background and change it a bit. Maybe we can use CCE 5FF. I think that's the color, yes. And let's use 1 REMs for padding. So we can have some space. And that's how you center a normal text right there. Okay, so there you go. The text is now centered, right? So now let's focus on our second section, which is the block. So this one right here, let's focus on that and put this. So we are now focusing on the block. What we do is let's take the width also, set it to 200 pixels. Let's set the margin to be 0 and 02. Okay, automatically this will sort of like center it. Okay, and let's take the background, set it to the same color as the previous one. So it's CCE 5FF, sort of like a white-ish. And let's take a padding and set it to 1 REM. There you go. This one is also centered. Perfect, perfect. So now the next one, we have the Flexbox. So this is it right here. Let's center this one also real quick. Okay. So what we do here, we first have to display flex, because we are going to be using a flex properties or flex Flexbox properties, right? So what we do is we're going to justify the content so that we can center it. You see, automatically it has centered the text, right? So this is centering with Flexbox. So let's align the item to be also center. All right, and then let's set the height. Set the height to be 150 pixels. And also let's just change the background. Set it to something different than the previous ones. Maybe some D4 EDDAs. Okay, here you go. So as you can see, it is now centered. Okay, so far so good. Let's just move on real quick. I don't want this video to be that long. Okay, let's move on. And now we will be centering the transform. Okay, so let's center this part, transform wrapper. Okay, so this one is a bit we have we're going to set this to relative, and we're going to set the height to be 200 pixels, and let's set the background to be F8, D7, DA. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so it's this one right here. It's this one right here. So we set the position to be relative, and then we set the height to be 200 pixels, and we set the background to be just like this color right here. Okay, and it did not center it for some reason. Anyways, let's move on. Yeah, let's move on. And now, since we're done with that one, let's do this. Okay, so since we've set the parent, let's now set the child of it. Okay, now since we have set the position to be relative, which is the parent, we are now going to set it in the child. Okay, so the position will be absolute. Since we've already set the parent to be relative, we are now setting the child to be absolute. And what we're going to do is we're going to set the top to be 50%. Okay, as you can see, it came down to sort of like the middle. Okay, 50% of the container. And let's set the left to be also 50%. Okay, and let's set the transform to be translate, and negative 50%, and also negative 50%. So this will put it directly in the middle. Perfect. All right, that's correct. And now let's just change the background to be something different also. So FFF 3C D. Okay, and let's put the padding to be 1 REM. And this is now centered also. Okay, so far so good. Now what's left is we need to get the grid. So this part here. Okay, we are now centering the grid. Let's see. So grid center is our div. So let's target that one. We're targeting this one, and let's display this the same way we display flex. We can also display grid. Okay, so let's display grid to activate, to show CSS that we are now going to be using the grid variables. So we can take the place item. Okay, so we want to place the item. Where do we want to place the item? We want it to be in the center. So place item center, just like that. And then we have the height. Let's have the height to be 150 pixels. And let's set the background to be FFEEBA. Okay, and then finally, let's try to center a image. Okay, so we will go and we will target this section right here. Okay, our image section. So we have a class of center image. So we're gonna target this. I've already inserted an image in the appropriate folders. Okay, so I've linked the image to my HTML already. So now let's target the image, and if you take a look, it's already displaying, but the problem is it's it's a big image, so we'll have to fix it here. So let's display block, so we can use it as a block element, not black, block. Okay, so we can use it as a block element. Okay, so we can be able to use the margins and the paddings and all that, because you can't really use it with inline elements. You can only use it with block elements. Okay, and let's get the margin to be 0 and set this to auto, and let's get the maximum width and set it to 100 pixels. And there you go, we have the maximum, is the maximum width. So we've set the picture to be 100 pixels of the container. Okay, just like that, just like this. And this is how you center things in CSS.